at the mid-year point, as well as the rest of the gang, 16 more that joined us here at the end of June. So they've had a great summer, and certainly they've been eager for this day to come. The day has arrived, and they got after it. Really good first day, really pleased with, probably more than anything, I should say, is the way that the culture continues to get stronger and better. That word is not just a tagline here, that everything we do and the way we do things means something, everything's important. Living a hungry, a humble, and a driven life and approaching our opportunity that way really is important to us, and it shows in the way that we do things on a daily basis, and we want to continue along those lines. But that being said, good first start, very aggressive. We've got some things to clean up, but certainly all the work in the summer shows in the way guys are bending and the way guys are moving, in the physicality of a practice that really, we're in helmets, we're not in pads yet. Got to tone it down a little bit with some of the guys because they want to fight for spots. And the best part about it, the feeling is everything is wide open. And that's the way it's got to be for guys to compete for spots, with the organizational chart that we prepare. I know that drives you guys crazy, right? Organizational chart. But you have to have an organized way of practicing. If not, that would be pretty challenging out there. So with that being said, please open to questions.
Questions? Right over there, Justin.
How healthy are you guys entering fall camp?
I'm sorry, Warren.
How healthy are you guys entering fall camp?
We're really healthy. We're really healthy. I believe the only guys that had limited action today due to a twist of an ankle was Cam McCormick. Help me out if I'm off by a little bit. Just about everybody practiced today, or was limited, like Sam Patasi coming off an ACL during the bowl game. He was full go, but we limited some of the heavier workloads that he would be doing. But aside from that, Hockey Woods, he had a very mild ankle sprain in the summertime, and he was good to go. I think he completed every rep. We originally put him on an 80-90% plan, and he wanted more. He said, "Coach, I'm ready," so he went. So we feel good. We feel good about our health. We feel good about our conditioning.
Front middle, Matt.
When the seasons get started, a lot of fans are excited about new quarterback or new position battle. As a coach, what were you excited to see transpire on the first practice field? What were the things that you were looking to see?
Well, I think that because we emphasize discipline so much, it's really become a way of life, and so has a cultural part. So what I'm looking for is the little things. I'm looking for the way we get to meetings. Are we prepared? Are we coming in there, big old smile on our face, a lot of juice, our notebook open, prepared, taking notes, asking questions. I look at how early we get to certain meetings and certain parts of practice, because it shows an eagerness and a readiness. I look at the way we run on and off the field. I look at the way we secure the football. I look at the way we execute the finer details of what needs to be executed. And we bring it all together in the sense that, look, we live a disciplined way, and we have disciplined standards because it does translate to a disciplined style of play. Doesn't mean to take away from the aggressiveness, doesn't mean to take away from what you want to put in terms of explosiveness behind it, but you can't be sloppy when you play this game. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for little things. I'm looking for leadership. We have a great leadership council, and we have about 18 guys that are candidates to be on that leadership council, elected by their peers and by the strength coaches as to the summer workouts and whatnot. Those are important things because now it's year two. There has to be a transfer of ownership, so to speak, where that locker room really takes it over. And I've been lucky enough where those best teams I ever had a chance to play on, that locker room really took ownership of the team, and so looking for that.
Third row, middle, AJ.
Looking for a lot of things, really, right? I could have kept going on and on. What's up, buddy?
Coach, over here, sorry.
There you go.
What are your points of emphasis going into this fall camp? As a coaching staff, what do you want out of this team?
Yeah, well, our principle are trust, belief, and accountability, but for us, always physicality, making explosive plays, playing discipline, making sure that we understand that we have to build depth at a lot of positions, right? To be able to be effective, in this sport, especially as the season goes on, the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball have to be stout, have to be explosive, have to be athletic with all the movement stuff that we do. We have to be dynamic enough on the offensive side to run multiple schemes. It just can't be an inside zone team or an outside zone team. So versatility in how we do things, the tweaks, the wrinkles that come with year two, the ability to plug in more talent at certain positions so that we can now just open up both sides of the playbook, the offense, the defense. Looking for our special teams, particularly our kickers, the ball placement, who does a better job with trajectory, who puts the ball in the right spot when needed to be. who's more accurate from the 45 and in, who's more accurate from the 45 and out. So the list is pretty long, but in terms of, hopefully that kind of answers your question a little bit. But those are the things, but physicality is never to be compromised, right? Execution is never to be compromised. Culture, discipline, love seeing the older guys, taking the younger guys and bringing them along as well. Camp really determines, what type of, start you have to your season. And we told our guys for this camp, for us, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be difficult, but it's also going to be very productive. And we have to elevate the culture, and we have to establish our identity of how we prepare, how we practice, and of course, in turn, how we play.
Front left, Ryan.
Mario, you have a very experienced tight end group, especially with Cam back, and I realize there's only been one practice so far, but what are your early impressions of Patrick Herbert, and what would he have to do to get on the field with his brother this year?
Yeah, his brother's lucky that he's a senior. He'd be in the shadow of Patrick, in due time. Patrick's going to be a great football player. And he came in at, I believe, at 221 pounds, had been playing basketball. I mess with him all the time. I tell him his basketball team doesn't really miss him, He was just okay, but he's about 241 right now. And this guy, he's got all the tools you want from an inline tight end and an off-the-ball tight end. Okay, he can come off the ball, come out of his hips, snap people back. He can work against stand-up linebackers as well as three-point stand defensive ends. He's great in double teams, and he could stretch the field as a tight end. Real big catch radius, sure-handed, extremely smart, hard worker. I had a chance to have the tight ends and the tackles together today, and I coach those guys hard. Demand a lot of them, and I want to see how he responds. My first chance to really kind of, get in there with him, and he responded great. He really did, and that's his DNA, right? The family DNA. We all know his family. So expecting big things from Patrick, and we really think he's in the mix to play this year.
Front right, Aaron.
Excuse me.
Coach, usually when a team loses a player like Ugo and Mike to the NFL, that becomes a big hole that needs to be filled. But do you guys feel pretty confident that you have the safeties to get it done with Holland and Pickett, Breeze, et cetera? Is that going to be an easy position to fill?
No, you bring up a great point. It's, not only Ugo, you got, of course, a couple other guys that are pretty good football players. Jalen Jelks, right? Justin Hollins. These are 3 NFL players that were on our defense last year. And, back to the question with Ugo, Ugo's a very difficult guy to replace. I read, I think you had posted something about him taking a tip ball and running it back, for a touchdown. And that's what he does. He did everything. Remember, Ugo went from playing corner, understanding an entire scheme, playing safety, playing nickel, playing as a punt returner, every special teams. Those guys are really hard to replace. But love the way that Nick Pickett and Brady Breeze and Khalif, Steve Stephen, all those guys are coming along really well. You've got some other new guys in the mix as well. And some versatility at those guys playing corner that could jump on in and play some nickel and maybe move a Khalif to corner and do some of those things. But is it a challenge? I think so. Until we have our first scrimmage and play with, live ball and live tackling or whatnot, I'd hold judgment on how close we are to replacing him. But we do feel we have enough talent to replace him and honorably replace him, I should say, because we do think he is a great football player.
Back right, Rick.
Coach mentioned opening up the playbook a little bit on both sides of the ball. I was wondering if you could expand upon that a little bit. How much difference will we see in the offense this year, and then also with Coach Avalos coming in, how much change will we see offensively?
Well, I think you always do the things that you did well, you want to keep them and expand them, and then things that you feel you could do now better or had held before, you expand on those as well. I don't think, out of respect for you and for the team, obviously we don't ever talk pure schematics in what we do here, but the bottom line is, on both sides of the ball, explosive plays are what are running college football. You have to stop teams from having explosive plays, and you have to create explosive plays. In fact, if you look at drive charts over the last, 3 years, whenever a team had an explosive play, a run of over 15 yards, a pass of over 20 yards, they scored about 85%, 90% of the time. That's a huge number, okay? And that's, when you start having to go 3 and 4 yards a shot, that's different. We had some really good moments and some ones we could improve upon on both sides of the ball. And that's part of an off-season study where we took a really big deep dive into what we're doing, as well as what we think we can continue getting better at and how to expand it. We met with some people, but we feel confident about the tweaks, the wrinkles, and even more so, the staples that are really good for us on enhancing those as well.
Back middle, Brandon.
Mario, what are your thoughts on the 9 a.m. kickoffs that have been
Was it 9 or 7? Well, I mean, it's a challenge. You know, I think, you know, it's interesting. I don't judge until it's done. You know, you might say, hey, I'll play him at home, make somebody come here, and we'll play at 9 a.m. It's just very new. It's uncharted waters. So, you know, probably a little bit difficult. But I'll you know, I'm no one to judge, and I'll hold judgment on that. But that is a 5 a.m. pregame meal now. You know, I'm going to invite all of you for that one. I'm going to make sure you're all there, and then you're going to write about how you feel about the 9 a.m. So,
Back left, Anna.
Coach, obviously, this group of freshmen coming in highly touted, a lot of guys that are thought of as potential instant impact players. Are there any that caught your eye just physically, how they came into camp today as guys that if they adopt the scheme and play well could be contending for some real snaps this year?
you know, that's why I brought this sheet, because we have, you know, the class is 27, and they're really talented. They are. And a lot of them are positions that are completely open. And, you know, you guys have talked about, we've talked about Mikkel, we've talked about Micah. You know, today Sean Dollar's got a touch, and man, he hit that team, and, you know, he was gone. So he showed today, you know, all the reasons why we recruited a guy like that. But you go down the line, you know, you saw the range of Triquez and how long and athletic he is. We saw DJ James and Jamal Hill, how explosive they are and how well they could cover. You know, these are both track guys that were just extremely successful football players in their respective states and on their respective teams at high levels. You know, a guy that really stood out as well, obviously Kayvon continues to stand out and really show that he has all the tools to be a really impactful player for us this year. I thought Trevin did a really good job today. I thought a guy that hardly gets mentioned, Isaac Townsend, did a really, really good job today as well. Long, athletic, lean, all those big bodies. Keon did a really good job. Brandon, Christian, all those guys were slugging it out in there with the big boys. And we got to slow them down. We're not in pads yet, but I think, you know, this list goes on for a little bit. Mace Funa is a dynamic football player. And when we put on these pads, so you guys know, the way we structure practice, the threes, the young guys, they get the exact amount of reps as the ones. There is no shortage of reps. We two-spot everything. It's the best way to film everything, to evaluate and assess, and not to mention develop, right? 29 days. It didn't always used to be like that. It used to be the 40 units. That's a whole different animal. And really, you got to start preparing for your opponent 10 days out, right? So you're looking at 19 days to figure out your football team. You can't pound it out all 19 days either. So you've got to be really good about the way you assess and evaluate this thing now. And you've got to set up situations and drill work, right, that are going to give these guys a chance to showcase what they can do. We got to see if we can block, tackle, throw, and catch, the basic fundamentals of football. And then the rest, we got to scheme it up. That part's on us, you know?
From left, Eric.
Yeah, Coach. Looked like Kayvon and DJ kind of swapped spots in terms of Kayvon was playing one spot in the spring and they looked like a switch. What kind of is the balance of figuring out the defensive end, that stud spot? Is that something that maybe progresses throughout camp in terms of finding the right fit?
You know, they're both really explosive players. And we would like to build versatility. Since that body type is unique, right? Anywhere from 6'3" to 6'7", could go from 228 pounds all the way to 275 pounds. And we have a couple of those body types now. And they were both really effective in the spring, so we want to create snap value. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but not only competing with, you know, Kayvon just playing the stud and compete with the studs, but we like the studs at the ends to be able to flop with each other and compete against each other. Who are the best three before who are the best two studs and who are the best two defensive ends? You know, and I think then you add the special teams part as well. Now you're really finding out, okay, now you're competing against the studs, the defensive ends, and the second, third team linebacker for that spot on the punt team. So that's what we're trying to do with that right there. And you'll see them go back and forth throughout camp.
Front left, Ryan.
Mario, where do you see Brian Addison fitting into this, you know, large group of receivers competing for the spots right now?
Yeah, he had a really good day today, and I think he picked up right where he left off when he got nicked up in the springtime. He had a strong spring early on, was making a lot of big plays, presented some mismatch, you know, issues, and he's explosive, he's fast, he's a great guy. I mean, the guys love him. They surely want to see him have success. We all know his story and how he got here. So he's in the mix, and he's in the mix heavy, and I think he has a lot of size and a lot of catch radius, a lot of range to the passing game, as does Jawan. Those are two different body types of what we've had in the past couple of years.
Front middle, Matt.
The team was picked to win the North. First time that's happened since 2015, and a lot of these guys haven't been part of the program that's been picked to win the league. How do you manage that topic? Do you talk about it once and just push it away, or do you guys embrace that and publicly talk about it on a regular basis, or not even address it?
Yeah, you address it, because the worst thing in the world is just to shut down awareness, right? We do it with our own kids. Got to make them aware of what the outside world is, what's kind of being said about you or the country or your school, whatever it may be. And so we make it just very real, very genuine. You know, this it's an honor because, you know, the media, you guys study teams, you guys study personnel, you study trajectories, and those things, we respect it. We just, you know, like anything else, we never make a prediction part of the process. And we all know, I think we've all learned, you know, the good way and the hard way, that when we're really dialed in and focused on what we have to do, we can be a pretty good football team. When we don't, we could go sideways. So the last part of that lesson was learned in year one, and going into year two, I think the additional members of the leadership council, just the bludgeoning of culture that, you know, transpires on a daily basis, and the creating this just genuine, real deal relationship of, you know, no punches pulled, no holds barred, no manipulation of the facts. I think we're able to talk straight up and never have any issue or confusion or anything cloudy on what the reality is. We have miles to go to where we want to get to, and we got a lot of work to get there.
Back left.
How exciting is it to open with such a big game, national TV against Auburn?
Well, you know, in about, about 10 days out, the focus will turn completely to Auburn. I mean, we all know it's an incredible opportunity anytime you have a chance to play one of the best teams in the country on a big stage. But we also know that you can't skip step 1, 2, and 3, which is which is Oregon, looking at Oregon in the mirror, looking at our faults, things we have to get better at, and making sure that we improve upon those things. And then after that, then we'll get dialed in on our first opponent, all the respect in the world for them, and certainly recognize the great opportunity that we have.
Front right hand.
You mentioned that you had nearly a dozen kids who enrolled early and took part in spring ball. How much of that do you think is a result of the early signing period, the new early signing period, or do you think that that was just part of a continuing trend that was happening anyway in college?
That was a trend that was happening. That was a trend that was already pretty strong. I think what you're seeing, this whole calendar's been pushed up. I mean, really, it's like the next step is just sign the next 3 classes in January or February, right? It's going fast, but no, I think it's a great deal now, and we have the benefit of the quarter system. So some guys get here in January, and then some guys get here in April. So if they miss that window, they could still get here, go through spring practice, and still have the post-spring strength and conditioning program underneath their belt, and 12, 13 credits. So it's a tremendous benefit, it really is.
Front right, Jerry.
Yeah, Coach, question about the running game. 179 yards per game. That was the lowest total since 2005. Is that a concern? Is there an ideal number? And if so, what's going to be the difference this year?
Well, we don't run the quarterback, so numbers in that part might be a little bit different. We want to lead the conference in rushing. We would. That's always a goal. And that's not going to change. And you know what? We've improved the physicality and things we did up front, and we had a couple really bad games running the football that really skewed some numbers. And we can't have that if we want to be a successful football team. So in terms of your question, are we concerned about the running game? No, we feel confident that we're going to continue to improve and get better. What is our goal for the running game? Our goal is to have the best running game in the conference year after year, wherever that lies, But certainly it's something that's at the forefront of everything we do, run the football and stopping the run.
Middle, James.
Mario, I realize special teams is usually a fall camp kind of focus, but we really didn't talk about it much in spring. You have an open competition at kicker. You have to identify new returners. The punt game was not a particular strength. How do you envision things shaking out? What's the process? Will you go live in the return game during camp to identify those returners?
That's a great question. We really struggled in the kicking game, and a lot of it was due to actually kicking and punting the football. That's no secret. The trajectory of the punts were low, and they weren't very far. And in the kicking game, our range was very limited. We had some injuries. Today, what we did is, from a field goal standpoint, we almost rapid fire on the right hash, one group, left hash, another group, try to get 10 kicks off in about 2 minutes and chart them on a daily basis with live rushes. We got to find out who is our best field goal kicker. Then we go, of course, to our kickoff team, our coverage teams, and of course, we have those guys rep in order to see who our best guy is, who's got the best distance, who's got the best hang time, and who's got the best ball placement. Ball placement on kickoff is just as important as the distance and the height. It really affects your coverage teams. And on the punt team, the same thing. It's they're all wide open. They really are, and we're repping it like a wide open battle position. So those guys know it. They're fully aware of it. They've attacked it. They did a good job competing today. It was good to see Adam Stack back today. He looked like the guy that we saw a couple of years ago before he got a little bit tweaked up. He looked really, really good. But you know, Emerson and certainly Cam Lewis, all those guys are competing hard. They all got an opportunity.
Far right corner, Jay.
Hey, Coach, two-part question. What, in your mind, is the next step for Justin and his progression as a quarterback? I guess both on and off the field. And then I think earlier you mentioned you kind of consulted with some people outside the program in the offseason about the offense, if I understood you right. Where you talked to some people? Did you talk to people outside the program? Were you consulting with people, and who were those folks?
Oh, I can't give you all that stuff now.
That's top level.
Those are great questions, but I can't give you all of
I
them.
haven't tried.
No, every off-season, we always travel, we bring people in. We like to keep that in-house as much as possible, because then now you're actually telling people exactly what you're looking at, right? But that something doesn't change year in and year out, you know? We feel we have some really good things, and we feel like there's just some other things we could be really good at. So we visit the teams that do those things well, both at the college level and at the pro level. And we bring them in as well, you know, in pretty good numbers, because you have that time during the spring, you know, and that's in every phase, offense, defense, special teams. And then, you know, we traveled a little bit too, and that was documented, so, and that was helpful as well, but, you know, that kind of leads to Justin as well. Justin did a great job at the Manning camp. You know, just like Throckmorton did a great job over at the O-line Mastermind camp, right? We're always developing and growing. We pride ourselves on that. A guy like that is, his next step is continuing to just take control of the entire offense. Right? The great quarterbacks understand A to Z with their eyes closed like the back of their hand, because they understand that the protections really make, you know, a huge difference in what we're throwing and where we're throwing it. We're throwing the ball down the field and we're in an empty protection. Well, that sixth rusher comes, he's got to handle it, right? We've got a hot throw connected to it. He's got to get out of the play. He's got to create a half roll, right? If we're running the ball and we've got disadvantaged numbers and we're running into corner fire, well, the quarterback take that next step. He's got to be able to get you out of that play, either spin it, put you another play, put a fullback in motion, or have an X come and block that guy, because he understands the number count. And I think the third part is, you know what, is you gotta now, and I think he has, and he will continue to get better at it. There's gonna be some times this year where a guy like that's gonna just have to take over the football game, right? I mean, we've all seen it. And he's already done it, you know, a number of times, and it's the next natural part of his growth, just like he has done as a leader. He's done a great job as a leader. Great job being able to communicate with the football team, get in front of them, lead by example, but also be able to voice, you know, his reasons, his concerns, or what he feels is important. And when your quarterback does that, I think it gives you just a tremendous advantage. Really does.
Time for two more. Back left, right here.
But there's so many things to focus on. What would you say is your biggest concern right now?
Concern is a strong word. You know, I don't. It's almost the way we operate. That word just doesn't appear much, and I'm not trying to cliche it in any way, shape, or form. I feel good about the fact that the culture is strong. So any deficiencies in personnel, any catch-up in scheme, I just think that culture and people will always trump scheme any day of the week, and that part's getting strong, and I believe that with the investment that our coaches have made in detail, attention to detail, and making sure the finer points of teaching and of mentoring and coaching at the level that they're bringing it to the table and at the level that our players are digesting it, I feel strong. I feel strong about the direction. I feel strong about the approach, the way we attack the opportunity. And really, I just, you know, we like to enter camp and leave camp aggressive and confident. So I have no idea if I answered your question.
Last question, Matt.
talk a lot always about competition, and with this team being so veteran and having so many multi-year starters back, how do you manufacture that from top to bottom?
I think it's being manufactured by talent acquisition. I do. Look, if there is no competition, I think you have a legitimate problem on your team. Your team will never be great unless you have competition across the board. And a lot of times, people say winning fixes everything. Competition fixes everything first. That leads to winning. So I think it's manufacturing itself, and I think people are also looking in the mirror and challenging themselves to truly be the best they can be. And one of the biggest things is guys understand, how do you prepare, right? Because being tough is more than just kind of throwing it in there and making a physical tackle or making a really strong block. Being tough is being able to shut off your TV and put your head down to sleep at 9:30. And being tough is being able to get up earlier so you can go get the right kind of food in your body and the right kind of treatment, the right tape job so you can have successful practice. And being tough is investing more time in the film room while an opponent you might be playing down the road is taking time off or sleeping. That's toughness. Doing the things that you really don't feel like doing, but you know are going to make you better, and doing them on a consistent basis. So I think those are critical things that are continuing to show up more and more and more, and it's got to become just a permanent part of the DNA.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for being here. You got a bunch of guys here waiting, but enjoy the afternoon. Thank you.
We'll get Troy up here in a second.
How's it good? That's good. Fire away.
All right, questions for Troy? None?
I was gonna say.
AJ, right here in the middle.
Troy, how would you describe the mood of the team heading into this fall camp?
It's great. I mean, guys are super excited. Guys are really, I would say they're just loving life. Like, everybody's out here trying to live their best life, and I quote that. But there's a lot of energy, a lot of focus. Guys are just really excited to get going. Today was our first day of really get out there and running around with the helmets on, having the coaches out there. It was a great energy, great tempo. Guys were out there doing their jobs. Still have room to improve in this first day of camp, but the energy, the atmosphere, you can't really change. I mean, we're doing a great job. The guys are living life, so it's positive right now.
Right in front of him, Eric.
I think last year you called Adrian Jackson a phenomenal beast at this media day. I'm going to give you the opportunity to compliment some other true freshmen that are coming this year.
Oh man, he'll be here for 20, 30 minutes on that. But I would say this whole class, top to bottom, Coach Cristobal does a fantastic job. Whether you're looking at Kayvon Thibodeau, Michael Wright, JR out there, receiver, Lance out there, receiver, Jonah playing O-line, all three of those or four of those young D linemen that came in, all phenomenal. I mean, just upper body strength out the room. Like everybody in here is just phenomenally strong. All these freshmen are just ridiculous. I don't know where to find these kids anymore. It's like, what are they eating? Definitely couldn't have been me, but no, just everybody just super talented. We're really excited to see what everybody can bring to the table because they all bring different things to the table, and we're really excited to see what they can contribute to the team this year. Because we did lose a lot of guys last year, we lost a couple of key players, so we're just looking for guys to step up and play in those roles and play to the best of their abilities. We're not asking them to play outside their box or play outside their framework. We just want them to play their best game, because if every 11th person does their best thing and all 11 are on the same page, we'll have a good defense, we'll have a good offense, have good special teams, and ultimately a good team. So, I mean, just if everybody can step up and fill into those roles as young guys and stay in their playbooks, I think the nation will be really surprised on how good of a recruiting job Coach Cristobal and the rest of the coaching staff has done and bringing in great young men that we do have.
On the right, Jerry.
Hey Troy, so 4 years ago, coming as a freshman, how can you compare the team, not just you, but the team from 4 years ago? And has it improved a lot or changed quite a bit?
I mean, you gotta look at the team. You can just look at just all different aspects from our freshman year now. There's different coaching staff, different nutrition, different things all across the board. But I think if you look at the team aspect, yeah, it definitely has changed. It's a total flip. Guys are really enjoying the year. Guys are glad that they help each other out. There's a lot more team camaraderie. It's a tighter unit. Guys can trust on each other a lot more and depend on each other, not just on the field, but off the field. Like, if you have a problem with the class, you can talk to one of the teammates because guys are taking those classes. You got a problem with your girl or something, you can talk to dudes and just talk it out. Like, guys are really open on this team this year, and I think it's going to go a long way playing on the field, because if you can trust somebody off the field, you can trust them on the field as well. I think just building those relationships and those bonds has done a great job. I mean, Coach Cristobal's always put team events together. Coach Phil's done a great job in the weight room, making sure guys interact and stuff like that. So I think just those interactions have helped us out a lot. And I think guys are more comfortable with each other and more positive around each other, and there's no negative Nancy's out there. And we're really excited and looking forward to this camp and to the season.
Front middle, Matt.
When you committed to this program, they were competing for conference championships, being voted first in the division. First 3 years that hasn't happened, now it has. How much is the senior season going to be about getting Oregon back to where they were when you showed up?
Yeah, I think it's a big thing, not just for us seniors, but for the entire program. Like you said, most of us seen Oregon and Iowa's, the Marcus Mariotas, the Dennis Dixons, all those dudes, high-flying offenses, good defenses, playing the Rose Bowl, playing the Fiesta Bowl, playing the national championship, playing those big-time games, winning the Pac-12 title, stuff like that you grow up as a kid and dream of. I think we're trying to reestablish that here because, I mean, we have the talent, we have the culture, we have the facilities. We're just trying to put all the pieces together and make sure guys utilize everything that we are given to the fullest of potential. And I think you guys are doing a great job so far, and as long as we stay on the same path and do what we need to do right and do it the correct way. And as Coach Cristobal says, abide by the culture, just everybody buys in. We'll have a really good season, I think, and we'll surprise a lot of people, but it really starts right now. You guys have to really buy in and really focus on the main goal, which is being accountable to your teammates and being accountable to yourself, because at the end of the day, if you're not accountable, everything's going to sink. So as long as you guys can stay on track and stay accountable, I think we'll have a pretty good season at the end of the year.
Back left, Andrew.
You mentioned back in LA.
Yeah, my boy Andrew.
You mentioned back in LA about how you and Coach Avalos came from the same area, and that helps kind of talk about home. And when you go from a coordinator that you're pretty close with and Coach Lovett, and then you have to create in your final year another relationship with a different coordinator, how much does that shared connection just help establish a rapport between the two of you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps a lot because, I mean, you break down a lot of barriers. You don't have to go through that murky phase where it's like, okay, where's this guy from and how does he feel and what's really going on? I mean, me and Coach Ellis always joke around because he always was that baseball cap and a windbreaker type of little cutoff, and I always call him an AAU baseball coach because he looks like an AAU baseball coach from the Inland Empire. If you go look at those pictures of those coaches, I swear to you, he looks exactly the same. And it's just fun to have jokes and just be able to crack back and just talk about past players from our area and just things of that nature. And it's just super cool to be able to relate to a person like that on a personal level, because at the end of the day, it really is bigger than football. And I think that he cares about all of the players on the defense as human beings and as men. And I think that was a big thing for him coming in and establishing that. But yeah, I mean, it's always cool to meet new people and build relationships. And I always look at building relationships with coaches more than football because I'm only here for such a short amount of time. So I think just building those relationships that last a lifetime is big for me. And I think that me and Coach Ellis are doing that the correct way. And I mean, every day we go out there and laugh, but when it's time to work, we really work. And there's always room for play, there's always room for work, and we know how to work around those two things.
Front left, Ryan.
Troy, along those same lines, Mario was saying he really only has 19 days to figure out the team before Auburn prep begins. Do you feel like that's enough time to master Andy's defense, or will that be a work in progress for the guys all year?
I mean, the 19 days is what you guys see. That's what you guys think. That's the only time we're involved in this playbook and we're involved in doing things. But since what was the spring game? Not another date, or something, whatever. Since that date, I mean, all of the guys on defense have been together Tuesday, Thursday, working the defense. So that's 2 or 3 months for twice a week. The guys hammering it in every week. So I mean, these 19 days is just for us to polish up on what we did and have coach guidance. Because we have been in the playbooks, we have been running these defenses, we have been doing the right things. Because a lot of us older guys do know how to transition from one defense to another. Go on our third defense. Some guys who are 5th years, their 4th defense. So I mean, we have a lot of experience on transitioning defenses, and I think we've done a great job this offseason of doing so. So I think these next 19 days are going to be big for us on polishing things up and just learning those little things that coaches are adding here and there. But I think guys are on the right path. And I think guys are doing the right things and setting their playbooks at night and taking the playbooks home with them. You know, the overtime we have in their playbooks, they're talking with coaches, they're talking with guys, talking to their peers. Because at the end of the day, if I can't help out G-Mar, if I can't help MJ, that doesn't affect me just because I can be on the field. They can't be on that. That hurts the whole program because I'm gone next year no matter whether I like it or not. And someone has to step up and take that role. So if I'm not helping those guys, it's going to just set everybody back another year. So I think the seniors of this team understand that. We put forward a lot of coaching because we've seen a lot of different things. And I think these next 19 days will be big for us as a team, just coming together as a unit and just continue to grow as the Oregon football team. And we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a competitive camp, and it should be pretty physical.
Matt?
Pac-12 Media Day, 9 a.m. start times for kickoffs were discussed. As a player, what's your thoughts at 9 a.m. and I guess when would your morning start?
If we played at 9 a.m., it would really be a crazy mess, to be honest. Because you got to think, you got to do pregame meal at least 3 to 4 hours before your game. So if the pregame meal is 3 to 4 hours before the game, that's a 5 a.m., 6 a.m. pregame meal. But Jesus Christ. So what time do I have to wake up at 4 o'clock? So what time do I go to bed the day before that? 6:37. Or then I just missed everything the day before because we're West Coast, so everything's already behind. But I mean, I don't think it'll happen. 9 o'clock is just way too early. I think they should just play 11. Play more 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock games. 9 o'clock is just absurd, but hey, if it makes money, it makes money, man.
Back right?
Hey Troy, as a senior, I'm sure your closet's not light of Oregon P's and things of that nature, shoes and gear. Do you have a favorite pair of shoes you've got?
I'd have to say my favorite pair would have to be the Oregon 3s that we just wore at Pac-12 Media Day. I'm a big 3 guy, so I'm not even a huge Jordan guy. You see I'm over here wearing Vans. But no, I mean, if it comes to me wearing Jordans, I love 3s. And I think those green 3s are just, Tim did a great job, him and the staff, designing those and putting those together for us. And anytime Tinker does anything for us, we're super appreciative and we're super grateful because it is a super honorable thing to have Tinker Hatfield, the man who came up with this shoe, design a shoe for us. And I think we have a couple of exclusive shoes that he's only made for us, and I think that's pretty big. But if I had to choose a certain pair, it'd probably be those 3s. Shout out to the team. Thanks a lot, man.
More for Troy?
Yeah. You have a great one. See you guys later.
All right. Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Troy. Yes.
Questions for Justin? Right back here, Steve Mims, back, middle.
Justin, assuming there are tweaks to the offense that Mario talked about kind of putting in each year, do you feel coming into camp that you know kind of what you guys have added and subtracted and kind of in control of the offense from day one?
Yeah, we've kind of looked at what worked well for us last year and kind of went back to that, and we're going to look at things that we didn't do so well last year, and we're going to work on those. It's going to be pretty much the same as last year, just a few minor tweaks here and there.
Right up in front of him, AJ.
Justin, talk about a lot of new faces on the wide receiver board. Talk about the wide receiver group heading into this fall camp.
they're a really athletic bunch of guys. It's a competitive group, and they get after it each day, and it's been really fun to watch so far. They had a good day today, and really looking forward to what they can do this year.
Is that all for Justin? Right here, Matt.
I asked Troy this, but as a player, what's your thoughts on 9 a.m. kickoff times, and I guess just how would that impact your morning or your routine?
I think as a player, I would say it doesn't matter too much what time we're playing. I think as long as we show up and play as well as we can, I think it doesn't really matter what time we start off at.
Back left.
Justin, you decided to come back. What is it that you enjoyed most about playing here, and what are you looking forward to most this season?
I think it's a really special group of guys. All the guys sitting over there, they're great to be around. They're great teammates. And, I think the coaching staff and all the staff members we have here, it's really special, and it's something that I really wanted to be around for another year.
All right, Jason.
Justin, can you talk about your journey here a little bit? When you were recruited, these guys were still on top of the pack in national rankings. Struggled that first year here, then been building the last two. Can you talk about your personal journey, yours and Troy's as true freshmen playing and so forth? And then is this team ready to be a favorite in this league?
I think you did a pretty good job of covering my journey so far. I came here, and we weren't a great football team. We were kind of a group of individuals that year. And, I think over the past couple of years, we've done a really good job of coming together and becoming a team. Really excited for this year. We put in a lot of good work, and we're really excited to get after it.
Back middle, Brandon. Cameras.
Hey Justin, we actually chatted with Kellen Strong earlier this week. He was here with his baseball team. He was just talking about the relationship he had with you and with that Shelton group. Can you just talk a little bit about, as you guys have now aged and grown up a little bit, to see what he's doing and what you've accomplished here, that group from the Irish?
It's been really fun to watch. It doesn't surprise me though. He's been a special athlete for as long as I can remember. Growing up, and even as far back as kindergarten, we played soccer, baseball, t-ball, all those sports together. So it's been really fun to watch. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Right next to him, Andrew.
Justin, when you first came in, looking at how the recruiting classes have changed over the course of the last 4 years, I mean, how much more physically ready are the guys that are coming in these current classes into 2019 as opposed to maybe what they were like in your freshman or sophomore year?
Yeah, it's completely different. I think the group of guys that have started to come in, it's different. They're different body types, and they're much more prepared for college football. And I know when I came in my freshman year, I probably didn't stack up well to a guy like Kayvon and all those guys. So it's really been fun to watch them, and they're ready to get after it.
Right here, Andy.
Coach Cristobal said that you got 19 days of camp and then you start looking at Auburn. But are you, like as a team and you personally, already kind of looking forward to that game?
That's a good question. I would say that we're more focused on the 19 days of fall camp. We got a lot to correct, and we got a lot of time before then. And we're going to do our best to get ready and do everything we can to get this team ready for the season.
Right here, front middle, Matt.
What's your opinion on this team being picked first in the North? What makes you think that this team's capable of doing that?
I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's a sign of all the hard work that we put in this offseason. A lot of guys coming back, and really looking forward to watching this team play. It's a huge honor for sure, and we're going to do everything we can to play good football this year.
Over on the right, Jay.
What do you want to improve on this year, you personally? What's the next step for you?
I would say consistency. I think at times we played pretty good football last year. The first half of the year we moved the ball really well and kind of fell off in the later part of the year. But I'd say putting together a full season, full game would be huge.
James, right here in the middle.
Just one of the few position battles on the offense is along the line between Brady and Dallas, and they don't even play the same position. But for you, how much does it change when one is in versus the other? I realize they're both game experience and good players, but does it change for you very much between them and where Throck plays?
No, there's no drop off between those guys. They're both so experienced, and Brady's played a ton over the past 4 years, and Dallas has been thrown in there a bunch. And they're both guys that I trust, and the rest of the offense trusts. So it'll be fun to watch and know that we've got two good guys that we can throw in there whenever.
Back middle cameras, Brandon.
Justin, going through everything you went through last year, you received so much national attention. come to your decision for whether to go to the draft or not that maybe you can take from last year into this year?
I would say not to let it distract you too much. Kind of just focus on what's around you, focus on our guys, our team. Listen to the people that really matter to you, and try not to let it distract you too much, I'd say.
On the right, Jay?
What was it like being, I mean, it's first day of camp, what was it like being on the field with your brother, you know, first day of camp as teammates? Any funny moments together, anything that happened that stands out?
No funny moments yet. Maybe in a couple days, but it kind of reminded me of high school. It's been fun, and it's not something you get to do too often, so it was a special moment, and glad to be back out there.
Right here, Steve, back middle.
Overall, for a first day, what do you think offensively? For fourth time you come into a first day of camp, what do you think of the way kind of the guys came together today?
It didn't look like it was our first day. I think we did a great job this offseason getting together, throwing, working on the team stuff. And, it was a good day. I think we made some penalties, had some drops and some bad throws, but that's expected on the first day. Overall, I think it was a good day.
Back left.
So the very first game's on national TV against Auburn. How much are you looking forward to that?
It'll be a great opportunity for us. I can't wait for the season to get started, and I know everyone else is super excited about it. It'll be a great opportunity for a Pac-12 school against the SEC, so it'll be a great opportunity for us to go out there and play some football.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
The remainder of the student athletes are in position waiting over here.